Everyone. My name is Lara Kavanaugh. I'm the Director of Program Management here at CIEE. I've been working at CIEE for a long time, 12 years or so, working with high school students and gap year students, helping them prepare to study abroad. So we're super excited about your cohort, and thank you for making time for meeting us today. So all of you are going to France with us next summer, 2021. Some of you are going to Paris, Toulouse, or Rennes. So there's 3 different destinations, but you all have it in common that you're traveling to France. So that's super exciting. And you're going to be on our language and culture program. Many of you may have been confirmed for this summer 2020, or sorry, past last summer 2020. So thank you for your patience and for hanging on and being ready to travel with us again in 2021. And then there probably are also some confirmed students who are newly confirmed, who have just joined us and are preparing to travel now. So the format of the presentation is you'll get to meet all the staff on the call briefly, but then really the bulk of the presentation will be led by our center staff in the 3 cities. And then we'll have time for you to unmute yourself and ask us questions. And then we'll break into small groups so that you can meet each other. So we really want you to engage with your peers, to connect with your other teens that are going to be traveling abroad with you next summer, so you guys can help get ready together, but also get excited and form some bonds and friendships while we're all stuck at home behind our computers trying to connect. Feel free to write questions in the chat during the presentation, but I think we'll wait to do questions till the end when the presenters are done. And with that, I'll just pass it over to Pierre. Do you want to introduce yourself? And then Matt?
Sure. Briefly, so I'm Pierre. I'm in charge of marketing for the programs. I work in the US, but I happen to be French, and I was raised in Toulouse. So I think I'll put myself in the Toulouse group. To be able to share some good addresses with everyone. Anyways, I did a first study abroad program in high school at your age, and it really transformed my life because I live and work in the US. So I wish you all the best with this experience. It's amazing. So
great. Matt, do you want to say hi?
Sure. I'm Matt Redmond. I am the Vice President of Global Navigator Programs, Teach Abroad and TEFL programs at CIE. I've been working with CIE for over 11 years now on all of those programs. And when I was just out of high school, I got to travel to China. And since then, on a cultural exchange, and since then I've lived and worked in 4 different countries. I speak Spanish and French. I lived in the French Alps for 2 years, actually. So
great.
I'm excited for you to have this experience as well.
And Joanna?
Yeah, so my name's Joanna Blank. I live in Portland, Maine. I've been with CIE for 8 years, and I work with students and families from the time you first hear about CIE all the way up through when you're getting ready to leave for your trip. So I might be working with a lot of you throughout the winter, and excited to talk more today about France and get you ready to travel.
Awesome. So let's move on to our staff in France. Anyone want to kick it off?
Sure, I'll start. Bonjour, je m'appelle Isabelle. I am CIE Toulouse Director, and I have been since 2015. And prior to that, I worked for SIT, another study abroad provider, for 16 years in the field of study. So I've been in the field of study abroad for a long time. And I want to say that I have actually been navigating between French and American cultures since as far as I can remember, because my father's American and my mother is French. So this job means a lot to me personally. And it has continued to be a full excitement for me to host groups of US students. And likewise, I'm very excited to meet you today, virtually to start with, and in person in just a few months.
Great. Jean-Philippe, you want to go next?
Sure. My name is Jean-Philippe Prémout, and I'm the CIE Paris Center Director. I've been with CIE for 12 years. I graduated in language acquisition and European studies So my first job was to teach French for Ukrainian students back in the time. And in 2008, I get my first real serious job as a CIE coordinator. And here I am today, having this little conference with you. Really exciting to get to meeting you this summer. One of the things I love the most about my job might be that, you know, I really love to take students out in the street of Paris and discuss cultural difference, French history. So I'm looking forward to your visit to just spend time with you. And one of my most memorable moments with the high school program was a soccer game that we played in the garden of a magnificent castle in Sceaux. So I'm also, you know, excited about you coming to Paris to practice some sport with me.
Great. Thank you. Last but not least, Danielle.
Bonjour tout le monde. My name is Daniel Audaz and I am the director of CIA in Rennes since 2008. When I was in college, I had the opportunity to study abroad in Madison, Wisconsin. This experience allowed me to discover how to function within new boundaries, to discover new culture, and it proved to be a life-changing episode for me. And here I am with you all. Thank you for joining us tonight and looking forward for this summer adventure to begin and to welcome you in Rennes.
Excellent. So, shall we kick it off?
When we've been asked to find some reason to excite you to come to France, really the task was easy. France is quite famous to be an attractive country. We have mountains, we have oceans, we have got, you know, big cities and really cute and quaint farms in the countryside. But we had to pick, and so we picked first the food. And so when it comes to food, you have a great variety of delicacies that you will be able to find in local stores. What I like the most when it comes to food, I would say that it's the organization of the meal. It's not the meal itself, you know, it's not the food itself. It's more the organization of the meal. And by that, I mean spending some time at the table with your host family, having a starter, a main course, some cheese and dessert, and talk about, you know, life and so on. So that's something that I hope you will find interesting. Then we have the language. French is known to be one of, you know, a difficult language to learn. And if you started to learn French, you already faced some, you know, problem with the passé composé and the imparfait. So we know that French is a difficult language, but you chose the immersion, and that's key. When it comes to language acquisition, with your homestay, with the staff, you'll be able to improve your French so much. You will see it's amazing. Then we've got the history, so you will be able to wander in cities that are so old and beautiful with cobblestone. And if you like museum, you will also find plenty of them in the cities that you picked. And the last point, the people. And yes, we know the reputation of being rude, but it's not true, and you will be surprised actually by how nice and friendly French people can be. So then we are going to really focus on the different cities that you picked. So I get to start with Paris, and then we move to Rennes and Toulouse. Paris highlights. So Paris is quite famous, and if you've been watching Netflix, maybe you have some, you know, appetizer with Emily in Paris. It's full of stereotypes, but it's also kind of true, like most of the stereotypes. That's annoying, but so what does Paris mean to you? That's the question I would like to ask you. What can the city offer you? Because it's such a big city and a diverse city. So maybe think about what Paris means to you right now, and it's going to be quite funny to discuss this once you will be on site. On top of its museum, you will be able to visit Boulangerie to get new perspective on culture. You'll be able to wander in the streets of Paris, check the museum. And what I like the most about Paris, it's a capital city. So yes, it's quite busy, but it can be also really chill. You will see that people can relax and enjoy in cafe. Right now they are closed, but we can expect them to open back this summer. We are going to discuss the COVID situation later in this presentation. And one thing that you need to know about Paris, the public transportation, it was supposed, maybe it's a French poll, but it's supposed to be the best public transportation in the world. And you will be amazed by how safe, easy, and convenient it is.
So Rennes is not the typical destination for someone who comes to France, and that's what will make your trip so unique. You'll be studying in the capital of Brittany, La Bretagne, a region of France with a strong cultural identity. And the people there, here, I would say, consider themselves as Breton first and French then. So you'll be having a French and Breton experience. What the students like most about Rennes is that it is very dynamic, lively, notably thanks to its student population. And it's a city that is very easy to navigate. So you see that after a couple of days, you'll find yourself exploring all the little corners and squares of the city. It's a city that is perfect to get lost, actually, because it's quite safe and quite small. So you'll be able to, probably reclaim very soon some of the probably your most dedicated places where you like to go and probably eat and do some shopping. Lots of little quaint boutiques. And something great about Rennes is that it has everything for everyone. It's, as many say, a perfect blend of a city with a small town life. So if you like something very busy, you go to the city center where most of the attractions happen. And if you like something a little bit more in nature, a little bit quiet, you have a wonderful park where students really like to go picnic with friends, to play the palette, which is a local game, or you'll be able to enjoy a free concert or meet new friends as you play Ultimate Frisbee and introduce them to that game. So Rennes is very close to the sea, and we will organize some very nice excursion to the Emerald Coast to visit the city of Saint-Malo. And you also have the opportunity to visit the infamous Mont Saint-Michel. So we're very much looking forward to your visit and to welcome you very soon.
So I think you are very lucky that CIE offers 3 destinations in France that are completely different, except that we speak the same language. Well, almost, but we'll keep that conversation for when you come. But they are equal in that they each have wonderful assets. So Toulouse is in the southwest of France, as you know. It's the 4th largest city in France, which means that it has all the resources of a large city, but at the same time, it really has a small town feel. And that is because the city is very big in that it's very extended, but the city center itself is very small. And when you come to class, you may not live in the city center with your host family, but when you come to the city center where the school is, you will soon find that everything is walkable distance. And it's something that students that have come to Toulouse always mention, that they love how they can easily find their favorite bakery and find it again on the next day, or their favorite clothes store, because again, everything is close by. Toulouse, you may have heard, is called La Ville Rose, and it's because the buildings are made with pink bricks. And you will find that the color slightly changes from orange to dark pink according to the weather. So that's really typical of Toulouse. Toulouse is a pedestrian city, as I mentioned before, but it's also really bike friendly. And also the public transportation system is very easy to navigate. There are buses. There is the metro that takes you everywhere, and it's only 2 lines, so it's very easy to memorize and know exactly where you're going to be using the metro. There's also a tram in Toulouse and a train. So really, with such a small city center, it's very easy, again, to be able either to walk or take public transportation without getting lost, or almost. At least after a couple of days, I'm sure you'll be able to easily navigate. There are outdoor markets in all neighborhoods. And of course, there are bakeries at every street corners and chocolatines. So for those of you who are in Paris and Rennes, you need to make sure that you will call them pain au chocolat. Only the South says chocolatine, and this linguistic war has been going on for some time. So as you can see, we have very serious issues in France. So you need to remember in Toulouse, it has to be chocolatine. And that's something that our students always do during the breaks. There is a bakery right near the school, and they run during the breaks to get a warm chocolatine. So that's something to look forward to every day. And I will continue with this slide that shows you what a typical week on the program is. So again, it's a typical week. It may not be systematically exactly this. And I will go fast through these slides because we're going to be talking about each of these components in the following slides. So a typical day is made of 15 hours of intensive French in the morning. And then it's followed by a community activity that's called Ose le Français, which again, we will explain shortly, and a cultural activity in the afternoon. And then after the activity, you usually have some free time before going back to your homestay place. I think the one thing that you want to remember is that the overarching element of all these components is the objective for you to focus on linguistic points throughout the day. So whatever you will be covering in the morning will be echoed through the community activity and then the cultural activity. So the point is really for you to be making the most of being there and to be constantly working even when you don't think you are. So that's kind of the magics that CIE work behind the scenes.
So what will your language learning be like? First thing first, you'll be placed by level. So you'll be working in small groups, usually 10 to 15 people maximum, in a safe environment and informal and informal settings. And you'll be supported by your local teachers, your program leaders, on-site staff, and your host families and peers. Key word here is practice. So the more you practice, the more you learn. And guess what? We expect you to make mistakes as much as possible. So be comfortable speaking, be patient with yourself, be patient with your peers, and everyone will appreciate your effort. Morning classes will be complemented with afternoon co-curricular activities in order to boost your classroom learning. So let's say if during week 2 you're studying arts, there may be a chance that in the afternoon that week you go to a local museum, or you may get to meet some local street artists, speak with them about their work, and eventually you may work with them and work on your own fresque under their guidance in the city. So it's very important once again that you commit to speaking French as much as possible, because that will be one of the critical components of your success during your participation in our programs. And that's why you'll be signing a language pledge.
Ose le Français, so that's the community activity. And just a word on the name of the activity. Ose, it has a double meaning. So ose, it's actually like the French verb oser, which means to dare. So basically it means dare speak French. But of course, it's also an obvious reference to the Wizard of Oz. So we trust that you will be able to find your own yellow brick road in France. As said earlier, Ose le Français comes immediately right after your French class in the morning. So that will give you a chance to immediately practice in the real world what you have been doing in class. So for example, if you talk about ordering at a restaurant, The activity may be going to a restaurant in a small group with your program leader that will chaperone you. And you will be ordering your meal in France, and that will be a chance for your program leader to see how you've assessed, you've integrated the French lesson in the morning, and to help you rephrase if need be. So you can actually, it's one thing to understand something in theory, I'm sure you've all noticed that, but it's another one to confirm that you can actually use it in practice. So that's really the objective of Ose le Français. It could also be that you would be talking about the professional world in your French class, and then you would go and interview people about their jobs. So again, this is an activity that's monitored and supervised by program leaders. So you will get their support and help when going and interview people. And as I mentioned before, this is really a way of reinforcing the material that's seen in class, but in real life context.
Thank you, Isabelle. And so I'm going to talk about your daily activities and excursions. As we said, everything was made so that you could make the best of your experience. 4 weeks goes really fast. 4 weeks is enough for you to improve French, your French skills. 4 weeks, it's enough to get to know the city that you picked, but it has to be framed. And so we know for sure that the way we design the program is efficient. You can trust us. We like to keep you busy, but not because we don't want you to, enjoy your life in Paris, Toulouse, or Rennes. We want to keep you busy so that you can make the best of this experience. And so, like we said, it's also a good way to, if you learn a recipe in your morning class and all the vocabulary that goes with food, then you will put this in practice during a cooking class in real life in the afternoon with a chef. That's a great example of how we design this program. And all the activities and excursions are well connected. The target is your language and culture skills improvement. We like to play soccer, pétanque, which is like bocce ball. We like to wander in cities, in museums. As Daniel said, you can see a picture of Saint-Malo, I think, on the screen. Also a picture of Carcassonne. And so you're going to have fun. You're going to be able to rest. Don't worry, it's not going to be like every day you go to class, you go outside, you do pétanque, you do foot. You are going to be able to rest, have some independent time on your own, but you will see we want you to be able to seize all the different opportunities that we have in store. So I'm sure you're going to really enjoy that.
So homestays are a very important component of the programs as they will reinforce language use and your cultural immersions. Families, les familles d'accueil, are very eager to host you. They open the doors because they want to know you and they want to share their culture. Host families consist of single women or couples, young to retired. Some of them have children, young to adults, some may have your age. And some do not, some live in the city and others will be living in the outskirts or to neighboring cities in apartments or houses. They come from all walks of life. They have different socio-economic statuses and backgrounds, but they're really genuinely interested in getting to know you and to host you. As students often say, host families are usually les parents d'accueil, your best professors, because they're not here to evaluate your work, but just to help you, and your best cultural informant as well. So you see they'll be very much involved, interested in what you do each day, and they're looking forward for you to share what you do on your day during meal times and also during your free time. So it's very important that you get ready to participate in daily activities, family activities with them. It could be walking the dog, it could be going to the outdoor market, or it could be discovering the countryside or going to the coast or going somewhere special with them. So It's very important that you remain engaged with them because they're people that really, really care about your experience as much as we do. So as you may have noticed during the application process, we are offering 2 programs. So we have the traditional French and cultural programs. So these are offered in Paris and Toulouse, and the requirement is to have at least 1 year of French studies. And we also have the advanced French and language program in Rennes, which is a full immersion program where students will have to speak French as much as possible, full-time, I'll say, and so to demonstrate some leadership. So whatever your program might be, something very important to remember is to practice once again and to speak as much as possible to get the most of this experience.
Yes, thank you. Now, the COVID-19 situation is something that we need to talk with you today. Of course, we cannot guarantee that all the challenges connected to the COVID pandemic will vanish by the beginning of your program. It would be, great, but we cannot do that. But you need to know that we learned a lot these past few months. We also launched different programs during the pandemic. Right now, we have program running, and they happen to be quite successful. So we'll make sure to communicate with you the different limitations that could be maintained by that time, but we can be optimistic with this new vaccination. Of course, that's something that will be regularly updated. So for now, we expect with the vaccination that things will be, back to normal maybe. People still wearing a mask probably, but museum and cafe, we can expect them to be open. Fingers crossed. I think it's the time of